All right, welcome to Political Voice. I'm Moses Humphrey. The Nigerian environment is certainly under severe threat now, for no fault of its. After a week ago, it fell upon the sheer misfortune of misgovernance when the military launched an assault against its flora and fauna. An 800,000 liter vessel with stolen petroleum products was destroyed, just like that. Now, that was certainly an action against better advice because we understand the said vessel had been fishing for oil from our shores illegally for 12 years undetected. Well, that is, of course, if you believe that story. By the way, frontline Nigerian environmentalist Dr. Nemo Basi has berated the military and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited for setting ablaze a vessel said to have been seized with 800,000 liters of stolen crude. Well, Basi, who is the executive director, Health of Mother Earth Foundation, described the action as economic waste and ecological assault. Now, in a chat with journalists in Port Harcourt, Basi stated that security agencies must be educated on the climate crisis and how destroying petroleum products was tantamount to an ecological attack on the environment. While describing the continuous destruction of environment as unacceptable, the HOMEF chief said the whole process of apprehending and destroying the vessel, which is MT Tura 2, was like a stage managed charade. Well, he therefore demanded investigation into the matter. Well, joining me right here in the studio to discuss properly this issue is Moses Adebayo. He's an educationist and a public affairs commentator. Good morning and welcome to our studio.
Well, good morning to as many listening and watching right now. I will still refer to our times, these precarious times, as post-subsidy Nigeria, where everything is now determined by what goes on around the fuel industry. And this, as I would always say, an apt topic on its own. I've read, I've seen, I've heard, and well, let's see what we can do with this in the next 45, 50 minutes.
Of course, let's see what we've talked. I think we had this conversation before. I'm not sure if
something
it was
that bordered around
it. Okay, now let's revisit it properly now.
Right.
800,000 liters, a vessel laden. Now we do know that the vessel was set to be operating in stealth mode, basically. Last time it was documented to have docked in the waters of Nigeria was sometime in 2011.
True.
And basically, it's been going in and out
12 years.
for 12 years. Now, when the captain and crew were apprehended, the vessel was on its way to Cameroon with crude oil taken from Nigeria. Now, we know that when the president came into office, he talked about chasing oil thieves, clamping down on them and all of that, and he was applauded for that statement. This seems like a way of showing that, yes, we are working. All right, we have apprehended these people. In Idimu the other day, they apprehended some people that vandalized a pipeline, stealing oil and all of that. Now, apprehension is a good thing. It's a good thing that they caught them with the crude oil. But destroying it, especially with the oil on board, let me get your view on that before we delve into deeper aspects of it.
Well, when issues like this crop up, albeit impromptu, you expect all manner of spin doctrine, all manner of headlines will come from it. People give it different names, nomenclature. From a perception, some people see this as face saving. You rightly say, or you said, let me not say rightly or wrongly now, how that they were apprehended. Oh, they are fighting illegal oil bunkering, because I've got to make that very clear. Over time, that expression has been wrongly put into the media for people to say the wrong thing. Oil bunkering is not necessarily illegal. To bunker oil is simply a process where oil is as in let's say oil bunkering now is a process whereby oil is put in a ship, and those that do them are licensed to do them. But it becomes illegal when it's an oil theft. When oil theft, so we put that clearly right now: oil bunkering versus oil theft. Oil theft is simply illegal oil bunkering. Those who are not licensed, who go about cutting corners and doing untoward things which against the law. So in this case, as I've said, is it that someone is hiding something? Because I always say, as an educationist, I've had reason to mingle with students over a period of time, decades and counting. And this I can compare with what happens when some students are caught, maybe doing what is untoward in an exam or even during a test. And I can tell you here and before the world that some students have over time evaded, in their own estimation, they destroy the cheating material almost immediately.
Okay.
So when you now take them to the panel, okay, prove that this boy, this girl, this candidate was caught doing what is against the rule. You have no real evidence to show.
Because
so is that what
destroyed it?
Destroyed. So is that what
is that what this looks?
Something like that.
Okay.
It's okay.
It feels like they destroyed evidence.
But I know that this is just about this transpired just about a week ago. I learned NNPCL apprehended them. Possibly the following or 2 days after, they got the crude oil leading them vessel destroyed, 800,000 barrels. And what are the attendant consequences? OMF, led by Dr. What's his name now? The executive director you mentioned in your prologue, has spoken vehemently against this.
Bassi.
Oh, thank you for that. It's environmental degradation, it's destruction at its highest level, demonstration of wastefulness, and yada yada yada. Yes, to an extent, they are correct. I'm not here broaching this issue just to place a verdict. No, it's not in my powers. It's for, if there's any prosecution that can come from this, if there's any, then that is incumbent on them to do. But here, what about the fishing life of the people where they get most of their livelihood? All 800,000 vessels will mean almost an entire section of a large body of water destroyed, and the life of everything that breathe within the waters will surely die.
Now let's it's interesting that you took it that way, because I was going to ask you the impact this would have on the marine life.
That's what I'm saying.
The impact of it. Now we know that a drop of oil can contaminate 25 liter of water. Now imagine 800,000 liters dropped into the water. Within this space it was dropped, how terrible would that effect be?
Let me put this in perspective. An average oil tanker, those that go out there to deliver to petrol stations, the largest is about 33,000 in capacity, liters in capacity. Now for 800,000, you're talking about, that's about times if I say times 20, then that'll be something around 760,000 excuse me, 760,000 liters. Add about 140,000 liters more to that. One tanker alone is enough to destroy the marine life of a large body, a river of
like
water.
Lagoon?
Something like that.
Oh,
let alone
part of it at least.
800,000 liters. That's about 20 tankers. If I almost, let me just put straight, about 35 tankers.
Now, if this happened in other parts of the world, don't you think
you can trust that the briefcases of lawyers will be filled very this morning? In fact, not even this morning. It immediately happened because people litigate. They will go to court straight away, and rightfully so. They will surely engage and try and test the law. NNPC, they've come up with their own side of argument. Right now, we don't even know. It's still out in the jury. How many barrels of oil do we even consume per day? How many do we export? And what have you? And when the president came on board, President Tinubu, one of the things he tackled first, let's just say it as the cliche which has become a mantra now, subsidy is gone. And subsidy gone, fine. Is it a case of someone somewhere still trying to thrive in an industry that they're about to deal with? Because when issues like this, as they've cropped up, you see from different angles, a certain Asari Dokubo visited the president. It has still bred much animosity from Nigerians. Or some have seen it, maybe he wants something, he wants to rival government Tompolo, Tompolo, and on. The NNPC, they've come out with their position that they actually they were fighting oil theft. They labeled the vessel as illegal, transacting illegal businesses, hence they took action. But in their taking action, I always say discretion is king of valor. You could as well have apprehended them, yes, but destroying them to the point that it will have consequential effect on the marine life is what
probably
is
they
worrying.
were not thinking about the consequential effect on marine life. Probably they were just thinking about, because what they said was they were doing this as a deterrent.
True.
How much of a deterrent is that actually? Because the captain and crew members were not revealed. Their identities were not revealed, so we don't even know who they are.
And that is why
They were not paraded, so we don't know if they truly caught them. They were not. We didn't see them.
they've raised more questions even than the answers given. Winston Churchill will always refer to the then Soviet Union as a mystery that is opaque, that is which other word you use now. This suddenly has generated more buzz because if you will tell Nigerians that you actually want to deter others from doing this, then it's just natural you make everything so plain. When there is still shades of opaqueness here, then we have reasons to start thinking, is it a cover-up for something? Are they hiding? The analogy you said there.
Think?
For me, I'm working on a thin ice now.
Feel free to express yourself.
Of course, I will. Sure, I will. For me, we've dealt with this monster for some time now in the name of how many barrels we consume per day as Nigerians. How many do they illegally bunker? How many are we aware of that are rightly produced, refined? Since we don't have definite answers to this, it shows how untidy that environment is, that atmosphere, reeking with all manner of odorous effect. If NNPC, alongside the Tantita, is it? Because I think that's it.
Yes.
Tantita. If they owned by Tompolo,
government.
If all they did, and genuinely too, I use that unequivocally now, if all they did was to ensure that oil theft is mitigated, is destroyed, if I go stronger, maybe I agree with them. But when certain aspect of it is still very shady, let us see the driver, let us see the captain, let us see those, let us give a face to them. If these are still hidden, then you have reasons to. It's the classic case of a witch cried last night and a child died the following morning. What transpired? If we can't get to see some faces, then credibility will be the credibility of what they are trying to put forward will be at stake. They can't afford to let us or keep us in the dark because this is a burning issue right now in Nigeria. We keep claiming we want to sanitize the oil industry, the fuel industry, but with arrangement like this, you still fuel doubt in people. You still raise uncertainties. Nigerians still have reasons to look at you. Let me go Kolokwa now with one corner eye. Is it true or are they just trying to put up a charade as you put in your prologue? So it is now for NNPC because it's ongoing and Tantita and every agency involved to come out clear, make it unequivocally clear that this is the reason we did this and because we want to deter further illegal oil bunkering. Otherwise,
what would have been a proper deterrent?
They apprehended them, yes. Should they have maybe prosecuted them? Maybe that would have been better. But sometimes desperate times require desperate action.
Okay.
We know what we are facing right now. The Okubo came out, told the world how some highly placed military officers are in charge of all these illegalities, are really the ones behind them. The whole world almost went aflame. Oh, he should have named them. The army came out through his spokespeople to debunk some things he said. And it's still within. The government in power just ascended. They took office not up to 50 days. So everything happening right now can be tied around all that transpired, the visa of the Kubo, Tompolo, NNPCL, and what have you. But the deeper issue is how Nigerians are affected. Could they have been better treated? Could that issue have been better handled? Yes. Apprehend them, I am totally in support of that. But destroying the vessel to the point that the aquatic life is endangered, the economy of the area is further downgraded, wastefulness is heightened. When you look at the attendant consequences, then you always will tell NNPCL that you didn't do it right.
You didn't do it right. Now, how would you attribute this? Is this a failure in the leadership or a failure in security architecture?
Straight away, our security architecture, as I always said, is faulty, and that is understating this. Reforms become inevitable. When the army was accused of this, they came out with a very feeble defense. And you tell yourself,
no, they said name names.
Yes, and so you go to court, you accuse someone. Yes, you are told it's on you to tell the world. I mean,
to prove your case.
Prove your case. Tell the world why we should prosecute this man and even possibly pronounce a verdict. The army came out, name names. But this is always a case of perception versus reality. In reality, what we see are things that are disgusting, things that keep dragging Nigeria, making Nigeria a comical nation among nations. Will this deterrent, so-called deterrent now, will it even stop anything? Will this deterrent as they claim they are doing, will it in any way stop us from getting to hear this news again? Let NNPC come out clear to the world. Yes, in 2020, for the first time in over 40 years, they made their books open to the world to see. They've done that for 2-3 years counting. We still want to see more. Some places there are still shades of darkness. There are still what you call, the fields we call it umbra. Umbra is a region that there is total darkness. Penumbra is a region where there is partial darkness. There is still what you call penumbra with respect to the oil sector in Nigeria. There are still things they are hiding, and this does not bode well. It doesn't look well on them. The optics on them right now is not good enough. Because again and again, I know from a little about communication how that when issues crop up, the most important angle you see from is the human angle.
Okay, yeah.
And once the human angle is prevalent here, as we have right now, then whatever is meant, whatever the intentions of NNPC is or was, almost pale into insignificance. Economy of the people, the locals there, of course, is in danger right now. We've given the analysis. Just a drop of oil in a body of water can destroy about 25 liters, let's say 800,000 liters. So NNPC may mean well, but what they meant to do or to achieve is having a
negative effect on the
effect ecosystem they never imagined. That's why OSEF, the people in the area, the world will condemn what they've done, even if they meant well. They might have meant what as in to stop oil theft, but how they went about it is not tidy enough. Not tidy enough.
So now, 12 years, this particular vessel, stealth mode, 12 years. It makes me wonder how much the nation would have lost in those 12 years.
You can only imagine.
It makes me wonder how much the authorities knew or did not know in that 12 years. It makes me wonder how many more could be operating in our waters and for God knows how long.
In 12 years, which is cycle in climate, it's said that in 12 years or thereabouts, the climate may experience a change. So 12 years, even a 12-year-old boy or girl should be in the secondary school now. So many things have transpired in those 12 years. Are we seeing a new dawn with respect to fighting corruption? Or we are just grandstanding? Or we are just playing to the gallery? Or we are just dancing a macabre dance, put up macabre dance, and deceiving on unsuspecting lookers, unsuspecting world out there. I will not be too hasty to judge because, as I've said, this is ongoing. You can be rest assured that since when the news broke, when the event happened, there will still be additional events that will come up that will now give it full meaning for people to understand.
For now, there's no other event. For now, it's just they cut the vessel, they blew it up. That's all we know.
They've told the world that they're actually fighting corruption, oil theft. That is their angle. But we can see they've destroyed many things in return.
Now, how porous would you say our waters have been, and what would you say? How would you rate the work of the Navy if the waters are so porous that a vessel? I mean, a vessel is not. It's not a plate.
You don't need the microscope to look for a vessel.
It's not a teacup. It's not a teacup. It's not my phone. It's a vessel. It's big.
Even the smallest vessel can as well be equated with a 3-story building. Let alone all these gargantuan, massively built engines on our waters.
So, how would you rate the activities of the Navy? Who it is that looks over the waters?
Uninspiring, straight away I tell you. A few years back, we heard of this story out that they didn't discover a particular vessel that left Nigeria for Equatorial Guinea until it got there, and this happened over a period of 30 days. So if in 30 days they could not just see, maybe those vessels operate in an invisible world. Otherwise, they just make themselves look laughable, ludicrous. For the Navy, you sense a collusion. Maybe I'm speaking or echoing what Asari Dokubo just asserted, that they are very much involved. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that there is an underhand cooperation from those that should be fighting them are actually colluding with them. Because you don't tell this to even a 5-year-old boy and won't laugh at you. They are so huge projects, they are so huge bodies, so huge machine, if I use that it is very obvious even for the blind to see. How would they pass through our waters and nobody can see them? This was on its way to Cameroon. They apprehended it and they burnt it. What about the one that went to Equatorial Guinea? It actually got stopped when it got to Equatorial Guinea, yet it passed through Nigerian waters for a period of 30 days. Was anybody watching? Or was somebody just cooperating with them and pretending to the world that we are fighting? So the activity of the Navy and all the agencies involved, not inspiring at all, not inspiring. They give you reasons to always doubt and knock government and knock its agency. But then, maybe, just maybe, a new dawn is in the horizon. Maybe.
All right, so what should, as it is now, Nigerians are asking questions. Nigerians are looking at the activities of the security agencies, and Nigerians are looking up to the service chiefs. Today, service chiefs will undergo screening at the
National Assembly?
Yes, part of the National Assembly. The reps, the House of Reps.
Because they've been to the Senate.
Yes, so the House of Reps will screen them. What do you think Nigerians should be looking forward to? Now, in this regard, as it concerns protection of the waterways now, what should Nigerians be looking up to?
I hope we end up with the infamous cliche that take a bow and go. We are tired of that. They should be
Indeed.
well scrutinized. They should be drilled. What do they have to offer us? I heard the many sweet words given by virtually all the service chiefs, from the Chief of Defense Staff to the IG. If we are to go by their words, then we can as well sit back and believe that they will do something.
Sleep with our eyes closed.
But we've had many rhetorics in the past, and it has not helped anyone. We've had how people tell you they are going to turn Nigeria to an El Dorado security-wise. We know what we still battle. As they visit the House of Reps today, and you know that platform is where all Nigerians are even speaking to them, because our reps there are doing the work on our behalf. They should not spare them anything, no holds barred interview. They should make it so clear. What do you have to offer? Are you fit for the job? Otherwise, they can as well tell Mr. President, whatever you think you want to fight, especially concerning our waters, these people are not ready. They must be so convincing that it will not only be perceived to be so, but will be translated into reality. We can't go through these cycles again and again. 12 years of all of this is enough to make anybody get tired. In 12 years, we've had, normally in a 4-year cycle, 3 governments would have, been in and out. So if in 12 years, we still have to battle with this airline, we still have to worry about this, then whoever is coming in now, by way of service chiefs, they should be not only convincing with their words, rhetorics. Talk can be cheap. They must swing into action and must be seen to be doing so, not giving us half a loaf and giving us the other half to go and start racking our brains. What NNPCL did, they claim they are deterring oil theft. I'm in support of that. I don't want anything corruption again. We are done with this. But are we fighting oil theft in reality, or we are just grandstanding? So let the service chiefs answer this properly, not with only what they will say at the assembly, but what they will do even from day one, from tomorrow, after the National Assembly. We want to see action. We want to hear that any vessel that passes through our waters are well monitored, they are well scrutinized. It won't be a case of, when you think of the glory, the might, the majesty of anything naval, the British Navy comes to mind easily. In fact, that's about their strength. The air powers belong to the Americans, the Russians have the artillery on the land, but when it comes to the naval world, the British have no equals. And that, in essence, what I'm saying is that if you have to pass through the water of Britain, off or onshore, you are ready to work. You are ready to make sure that what you are doing is legit and must be proven to be legit throughout. Here, we must be given the guarantee, not only in words, but in action. Of course, action speaks far louder than words. So let the service chiefs, as they visit the assembly today, the House of Rep now, convince them, not just to take a bow and go, and in return want to see whatever they say translate into palpable action, and Nigerians can now rest.
All right, talking about palpable action, apparently our waters are being affected with the destruction of the vessel and the oil spilling back into the water. This will inadvertently affect the lives of those communities around where you have the water.
We can't overstate
What should government do now to ensure that this does not, we don't have people dying from diseases? Or people dying from eating contaminated fish and things like that.
It's incumbent on the president himself now, President Tinubu, to work out the talk. Let Nigerians breathe. Let Nigerians breathe means let Nigerians not regret being Nigerians. With just what happened, you can tell that many lives have been thrown, they've been endangered. Just put it that way, economically especially. And as you've rightly said as well, you can expect that even the environment will breed all manner of diseases. When you have oil lingering on water, because they don't mix, I know that in my chemistry, they don't mix, you can rest assured that it will be a breeding point for as many insects as you can. These are rural areas, these are indigent people. Will government swing into action at the federal and the state level, because this also involves some states? Delta comes to mind, rivers, most of the South region are affected right now. I learned Ondo State, from yes. what I read, Ondo State is equally involved in this.
Yes, yes.
So the Lajes, the Jaws, all these ethnic groups, right now you can imagine that they need succor from government as soon as possible.
What should the government do?
Are we not stating this 1,000 times? They know what to do. And what they do is that they immediately go about mitigating the effects, because undoubtedly the effects on these people may be unbearable. Let state governors, state governments, even local governments right now, concerning those affected directly and even indirectly, let them swing. And the federal government through NEMA and their agencies should be on ground. Oh, we are here with you. We are going through this together. We are going to provide, because homes will be destroyed right now. When homes are destroyed, clothing will be affected. Some will be left in the cold. We don't want them to suffer unnecessarily when it can actually be, stored.
All right then. Well, let's move away from that topic as we go to another. Members of the House of Representatives are demanding an upward review of their salaries and allowances following the removal of fuel subsidy and the current economic situation in the country. Now, this demand was the outcome of a meeting the lawmakers had on July 11 after going into an executive session during plenary. The complaints from members arising from salaries and allowances forced the House to go into executive session in order to douse tension. The lawmakers had also demanded from the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, the reason for the delay in the payment of their salaries and allowances, causing some of them to resort to loans. Well, however, one of the lawmakers who was at the meeting but craved anonymity because he was not permitted to speak on the outcome of the executive session, said they only spoke about salary increase and not delayed payments. The lawmaker said they only told the Speaker that their salaries and allowances could no longer meet the demand of their job. Let's underline that. Their salaries and allowances could no longer meet the demands of their job. Hence, a review was necessary. The sources said their request was a sequel to the current economic reality following the subsidy removal, which had caused hardship, making goods and services skyrocket in the country. Lawmakers said the Speaker did not promise them anything on the review of their salaries and allowances because such demand could only be accommodated in the budget after due process. Well, according to the legislator, the Speaker told his colleagues that their demand for a review of their salaries and allowances was not in the 2023 budget. Meanwhile, to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal, the House of Representatives received a communication from President Bola Tinubu on 12th July, seeking an amendment to the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act. Now, that amendment was to accommodate 500 billion naira for the provision of palliatives for Nigerians. Now, from it, the National Assembly was awarded a whopping 70 billion naira. Now, that's not the wage increase. That's palliative. That's to cushion the effect of subsidy removal on them. Now, that's just a welcome package, if you ask me. Now, so 70 billion set aside for them to cushion the effects of subsidy removal for the next 6 months, while 12 million households in Nigeria will, receive a certain amount of money, which basically comes down to 800. Yeah, I beg your pardon. I have high hopes.
It's understandable. We're in this together. Really.
8,000 naira, excuse me, for each household. 12 million poorest of the poor. Now, what do you make of this 70 billion for the cushioning? Let's even leave the salary increase aside for now. Let's talk about 70 billion, what they are asking for to cushion.
And I thought almost immediately, do these guys live outside this planet? Do they realize what they do sometimes? Forever there will be this case of expediency versus legality. Even if it is legal that your salary should be reviewed, you should be given this, that, yada yada yada. Not now. Definitely not now. Do they go to the streets to feel the pulse of Nigerians? Are they so insensitive that they just go about banding words recklessly, all because they claim they have rights? All things may be lawful, all things may be legal, but not all things are expedient. Not now. Look, I've had several platforms, radio stations, several platforms on the social media, on TV. No one is buying into this. Because you give Nigerians reason to go back. For an average politician in Nigeria, you spend millions to attend the office, to get to the office, buying forms, campaigning, and what have you. Even the smallest of offices in Nigeria, elective offices. Now, you think people are not really thinking that, for a man to afford this, and we know from what we talked about time, they get there, they settle whatever they have to settle, and yet you have the right, the temerity, the effrontery to ask for salary raise. Maybe they have a savior in Senator Benga Daniel. Ogun East now, who recently declined, told his governor in clear terms, for now, suspend my emolument as a former governor. Because to him, he claims a man of conscience, though it's been doctored over time. Is he trying to just impress Nigerians, or does he mean it? Whether or not he means it, we don't know. But he has just said, we'll go by the facts out there. He wants the governor to stop paying him as a governor, a former governor, which is good. But when the overwhelming majority of House members, and of course, it's always a case of whatever the House does, decided to always take it from there. 70 billion for just 469 Nigerians is immoral, to put it in the list. It is not right. Not now. As I've said, if we've discussed this over time, I remember about 2-3 weeks ago, we had discussion concerning RAMFAC now, Revenue Mobilization Agency, when they said, oh, we've not reviewed their salaries in over 14 years, thereabout. We understand this, but again, discretion remains the king of valor. Something you do them, it's always a case of doing the right thing at the wrong time. It could be right. They deserve their emolument or remuneration as well. But it could be the right thing, but it's being done at the wrong time. And when you do the right at the wrong time, the consequence will be that what you've done will be perceived in bad light. You meant good, but evil is seen. Even if they mean good, evil is perceived. Nigerians are hurting right now.
What good can they possibly mean? And this is even at a time where some states have not been able to pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage.
And you have the right to come and tell us that.
Some states have not been able to pay that. Now, Nigerians, Labour, NLC came out to say, okay, since you have removed subsidy on fuel, let's increase minimum wage. That conversation has been thrown under the rug for now. It's been pushed aside. A future date given for when other things, the committee,
NLC, TUC will meet with government,
come together
yes.
Look at everything and say, okay, this is what we have agreed on, and this is how much it will be. NLC has also come out to say, okay, now we're asking for 300% increase, which
means about 200,000 naira for minimum wage.
Which I don't know how feasible.
And that is when Nigerians have the teeth with them. When it comes to the governed, you are always reluctant, almost reticent, almost indifferent to our plight. But when it comes to your own, the people in government, you are always very quick to respond. And we have none of this. You didn't get in the office by fiat. You got in there because we put you in there. So our own issues must be paramount.
Let me take you up on that. Did we put them in there?
We voted. We're a democratic nation. So let us not speculate. Let us not speculate, please.
Okay, so we voted, meaning that we elected them to represent us.
Yes.
Meaning that they are there to serve us.
Or at our behest, yes.
Now, isn't this a case of the servant becoming, richer than...
even you laugh at yourself because
we made them. They are there to serve us, to bring our problems to the table and look for
solution providers,
solutions to the problems facing the country. Nigerians.
Well, we have 133 million Nigerians undergoing what term have we been using now? Multidimensional poverty.
So they are there to serve us.
Multidimensional poverty.
So now Nigerians are having to. So now Nigerians will have to, cough out this huge money for servants.
I've said it again.
They did say, as you respond, I'm going to quote one of the statements they made. They said the salaries and allowances that they are collecting recently could no longer meet the demands of their job.
That is ludicrous. Can any one of them? No wonder while you read the product to this discussion, they will always plead anonymity. Why can't they be bold enough to come out and tell the world that I, Senator so and so, I represent so and so, said this? They dare not. They know that they dare not, because they will further hike Nigerians, and this insensitivity may lead to something we just can't imagine. Please, House of Rep members, Senate members, whatever you do now, I said it last time, but we had dissenting opinion. Whatever you do now, please, even if they are right, and it has to do with money, because people have put it 70 billion for 469 Nigerians, as against 8,000 naira for 12 million homes. Do the math now. It is totally incongruous. It is
about 20 something million monthly for each person.
It doesn't make any sense.
Approximately 25 or 20, approximately 25 million naira monthly for each person, as against
8,000
naira for a
household in the country.
A household will have approximately 4 people.
Nobody takes this. Nobody, no sane, no right-thinking person of the human race, of the Nigerian society will believe this, will take this. Well, however well-intentioned they are, nobody's buying into this. So they should just be discretional. They can't afford to keep irritating Nigerians. To get transportation in the last 1.5 months, I know what it means. And as a member, a bona fide citizen of Nigeria, I know that an average Nigerian is going through this. On the roads now, the roads are almost totally empty sometimes. Sunday is known for being an easy, apologies, what's his name now? This American, Lionel Richie. Easy as Sunday morning. Even Sunday morning is easiest now. The roads are almost empty. You can't go out anyhow. Because just to fill a tank, and how many people can even fill their tanks now? And it's spiraled down to food cost. You sometimes go out there, you see a loaf of bread. How much? 1,000 naira. You know, I've always thought myself that in my lifetime, I've ever thought that I will be using 1,000 units to buy just a loaf for a staple of life. It is not, please, our House of Rep member or members, Senate members, whatever good you think you mean, it is not good enough for Nigerians. Nobody takes this. So they should not toy with emotions. Emotions right now, our emotions are so raw. People are the biting effect. And the president must wade in to stem this recklessness. Because the day they came to Lagos, the convoy is still something people talk about. You came to Lagos, you are the one who have said, oh, let Nigerians breathe. Please let us breathe indeed. And let us not breathe and inhale foul air and get sicker than we already. We are sick already of all this.
Okay.
So they can't afford to make us, even saying right now, you know, these are analogies that you think of and say, are these guys part of this planet, of this country? Or they live elsewhere, only to come and legislate in court. So they should just be very careful with whatever they intend or are saying. I expect that many of them, even if they are grandstanding, come out and tell us that we've slashed our salaries, we've done this. As I've said, Benga Daniel is in the books of many people, whether for good or bad now, that he came out boldly to tell the world that he has told his governor, please for now, suspend my payment as an ex-governor. I let some of them have a little conscience. Have they seared their consciences? That's the question. So they can't afford to say anything now. Because whatever they say now is going to be used against them, never for them. So they should just be careful what they say. I maintain it is a case of, it could be legal for them to have salary increase. Imagine an house of a politician. We know what they say in Igboro now.
Is it even legal to have salary increase? They were just elected into office. They were just elected into office.
It is.
They were just elected. They've done barely. They haven't done up to 2 months in office.
But don't forget that some of them were elected. So by virtue of the re-elected members of Senate or House of Rep now, they are entitled. When in comparison to the Nigerian on the street. Now, you do know that the palliatives is not for everybody. It's just for 12 million households.
12 million households out of over 100 and something million that we have recorded households. Over 100 million households. So we're looking at 12 million. Now, what happens to the rest?
The
rest are not poorest of the poor.
You're right.
So they are what? They are like the House of Reps members are like poorest of the poorest.
I can understand your sarcasm. They are not by any means poor. They are not by any means poor. So they can't tell Nigerians that about the dash. Yes, you ask the question, is it legal for them to ask for a review? Oh yes, it's constitutional. That's why we have revenue mobilization.
Is it legal for the civil servant to ask for a review?
No, not either. As
not
much
illegal.
As no, as in not they can as well. Civil servants, they have every right to demand for an upward review of a salary. But when politicians say certain things, you are perceived in a particular manner. Let me go back to what I said earlier or earliest. Just to occupy an office in Nigeria via the ballot box is expensive. We can't pretend about that. They know
so
how
what
much
should we now do differently? Because now they're even talking about buying bulletproof cars.
And the more you hear terminology like this, the more angry you become.
Bulletproof cars, then we should be looking at insecurity. Why don't you just tackle insecurity? Tackle insecurity in the nation. and make
Moses,
sure that you are safe. You can walk on the streets with your umbrella without you using a bulletproof car.
because they know, as was it William Shakespeare said, the evil men do live after men. They know what they are up to. They know how they've transpired. They've lived over the years. In 24 years of democracy, an average elective office in Nigeria is seen as a cash cow. You go in a poor man and come back fabulously rich, and this is nonsensical. This is not
now,
to be accepted.
Let me interrupt you now. So how can we make political offices less attractive?
We've discussed it over time. Only that it's a case of, if you have to legislate, maybe amend some laws.
They are the ones to legislate.
They are the ones. So what, I mean, would you think they will ever do things that will be harmful to themselves? No. Not they won't. All we have at our disposal is just our power to vote, voting and voting. And I have a glimmer of hope with the last election. I would lie to you. The reason is this. The results that emerged surprised so many. So many. Governors that control the whole state could not even win a third of they have called a district to become senators. So they know now that our votes truly count. That's about the only way we can remove them. We will not go base. I mean, calling for military coup, all those things are anachronistic. But we can always tell them that if you don't do this your term very well, be assured that you never go back there. So that's our power, and that's our eternal power. We must always exercise them right. And in reforming our laws, amending, creating, like a case where this aspect of the law, but would they do it? I remember Dino Melaya had this case, issue of almost being recalled by his constituency. If that aspect is heightened, accentuated, these people will sit up. They won't even be flippant with what they say. They won't be careless with their utterances, because it's just carelessness at its highest level. It is so insensitive. There's something you can tell Nigerians now. I was going with a friend not too long ago that even when he had that, even the first lady is thinking of a pet project. He's a staunch supporter of the president. But for once, I saw anger written on his face. What does the first lady, what does she even mean right now? This is not time for you to come out with one pet project. We've had so many, from better life to family planning to this and that. We don't want them anymore. Not now. Not just now. Not now. If palliatives are put in place and our lives are these hurts, these emotions that we are feeling right now, if they are doused, if anger is removed, if tension is reduced, Nigerians will understand that, of course, as I said, it is legal. They ask for upward review or just as a review of their salary. But when they say now, it will never be music in the ears of Nigeria. No way. Nobody wants to hear that. No matter how well-intentioned they are, no matter how legal what they're asking for is, it is not expedient, and they should please jettison such idea.
All right. Now let's. Okay. I was gonna get you the dictionary meaning of palliative, so we can, look. Yes. So let's look at the dictionary meaning of palliative. This particular dictionary says symptoms without. Okay. It says of a medicine or form of medical care, relieving symptoms without dealing with the cause of the condition.
Removing symptoms without
relieving the symptoms without dealing with the cause of the condition. Now, let's marry this to the situation on hand. Fuel subsidy, gone. Palliatives proposed to relieve the symptoms, but it was to be for 6 months. Now, after 6 months, if lawmakers take 70 billion for 469 of them,
like 25 million per
25 million per member, and households, not all Nigerians, select few, take 8,000, which is absolutely nothing in comparison, and this is supposed to be for 6 months. After 6 months, they now implement the salary increase of the lawmakers. So they are having their problems solved. But what happens to the common man? I'm not talking about the 12 million households now, because there are other Nigerians who are poor who may not be captured under the 12 million households. What then happens to the common man? What should minimum wage be? Now, when you even talk minimum wage, you're looking at government parastatals.
Yeah. Not even private workers.
Private workers will not benefit from this.
And we go to the same market.
To the same market.
Oh,
My point exactly.
Oh, well, let me put it this way. Palliative, I understand, should be a form of assuasion. Okay, you are going through hurt, but we can lessen the biting effect of the hurt. Are we to go with this very funny, very ludicrous way of 8,000 per household, 12 million household as they've captured, as they've said? No. It sounds funny. It sounds demeaning, debasing. What should the government do? 500 billion, take the 70 billion, the House of Members in legislative want for themselves. We have 430 billion left. If you divide that by 36, I can't get my maths right now, but I was listening to someone not too long ago, and we listened to each other, that if only transportation per state is dealt with, get buses. Buses that from the 430 billion that will be distributed among 36 states, get buses that can easily make transportation accessible to people, reduce the tension they go through every day. Because, as I've said, a huge chunk of anybody's salary emolument now goes for transportation. Whether you are a private car owner, you have many. How many people can even afford to maintain fleet of cars right now? I doubt if you can maintain those 3 cars of yours now. The world is listening. You have about 4 or 5 cars, but then, for real, let this palliative be channeled into our immediate lives. What we transact with daily. Transportation number 1, food. I heard how that the president is about to declare a state of emergency with respect to food because they envisage food crisis. Let all these 500 billion and even the $800 million we got as grant or loan, that one is even for jury to decide on, was it a loan or a grant? Let them be channeled to all of this. There is no joy trying to cure or to remove the symptom when the real cause is still lying there.
Still there.
You only will gloss over it, and in no time the real cause is still there. It's a matter of time. In 6 months, Nigerians will still go back to where they've always been, which is not desirable places. 6 months down the line, they may increase salary if they do, but it only affects a very infinitesimal group of Nigerians. Not all people work for the federal government. Even this, the minimum wage increase they want to do, some states, some federated units can't afford them. The 30,000 that was proposed then, some states still don't pay 30,000. They don't. So all of this will only mean that you dance around a circle rather. You make motion but no movement. Motion, no movement. So who is deceiving who? As I've said, let the palliative as they intend, because if you say that before the letter right now, you call it intervention, because maybe according to him, the word palliative has been made cliche of. Let them ensure that they channel into just 2 sectors right now, transportation and agriculture, so that Nigerians will see that because these are the sectors that affect our lives the most. And maybe with respect to the CNG, the gas in innovation, they can channel some of these funds there too. 8,000 is like you are making mockery of people. Please, they should stop the idea. It is not sensible at all. They should stop it.
All right then. On that note, I think we'll call it a day.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Moses Adebayo.
Always a pleasure.
An educationist and a public affairs commentator. Thank you for coming on the program. Well, that's the conversation today on Political Voice. I'm Moses Humphrey. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.